Kara here, and tonight we are gonna make an apple pie protein dump cake. So for those of you that have ever made a traditional dump cake, basically all you do is pick whatever type of fruit you like, you take a box of like cake mix and add 1 whole stick of butter, dump it in a pan and you bake it, and there you go. So tonight I'm not gonna quite do that. We're gonna make it a little bit healthier in terms of cutting back on the fat, adding a little bit more protein to this recipe, and lowering the carbs a bit from your traditional dump cake. Tonight I am gonna do an apple one, but if you prefer, you could switch it up and do a different flavor of fruit. The first thing you're gonna wanna do is preheat your oven to 325, and you're gonna need a 9 by 13 inch pan. It's your traditional cake pan size. And you're gonna wanna put some non-stick spray of some sort in there, or what I did was, I just took some coconut oil, took my hand in a little plastic baggie and kind of smeared it all over the pan. Sometimes I find non-stick cooking spray still doesn't work so well, so I wanted to use the coconut oil for this recipe. So, we are gonna use the MTS apple pie protein for this. But since we're putting apples and applesauce in it, if you have a vanilla or even caramel sutra, that would work nicely with this recipe as well. So to get started, we're gonna first do our dry ingredients first. For the flour for this recipe, since we're not using cake mix, I'm gonna use the coconut flour. And this recipe does, I believe, end up being gluten-free for anyone that cares. But we're gonna use 1 full cup. I'm gonna use a half cup to scoop it out. We're gonna use 1 full cup of our coconut flour. So I'm just using a half cup, so I'm gonna use 2. Dump that right in there. For sweetener, I'm gonna use Splenda, and I'm gonna use a half a cup. And depending on what kind of sweetener you use or how sweet you like it, you can alter this based on what you guys like. It's gonna sweeten it. For ground cinnamon, I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons, which is basically all I have left in here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and dump that in there. And then to make our product rise, I'm gonna use some baking soda. I'm gonna also use 2 teaspoons of baking soda. And then once we get all our dry ingredients in there, that is all of them, I'm gonna go ahead and just stir it around real quick, mix all the dry ingredients in there together. And for our wet ingredients, what you're gonna need are 6 eggs. I use Wegmans large eggs, and for sake of time, I've already got those in a bowl. And I am using all the yolks here, so it's up to you. You could make this even lower in fat if you want by removing the yolks. But I'm gonna use all the whole eggs this time. So all 6 of them, I'm gonna go ahead and mix in there. And then since most recipes call for the dump cake for 1 full stick of butter, what I'm gonna do to alter that is I've got here these organic applesauce with cinnamon. I don't care that they're organic, but that's a half a cup. So I'm gonna dump 1/2 a cup in there. And I still wanna use a little bit of butter because believe it or not, it will make this product very dry without using it. Oh, I forgot to add my protein in. I'm gonna use 2 tablespoons of this Earth Balance butter spread. Whipped butter. So I'm gonna use 2 tablespoons of that, which still is considerably less fat than if you're using a full stick of butter. And since I forgot, and the cameraman didn't remind me, I'm forgetting my protein, the essence here. 2 full scoops of that, we'll dump that right in there. No big deal. Not gonna impact our product adding it in at this point. You guys could really mix it all together if you want, but usually try to do dry separate and then mix it with the wet. So at this point, go ahead and stir your product all up. Okay, so you just want to make sure you get underneath there and get all the dry ingredients mixed in there. It smells delicious. So the last thing we're gonna add that you're gonna need to do, I've got my apples here. I just bought Fuji apples. use whatever kind of apple you like. However, some apples bake better than others. Fuji is one of the ones that does bake pretty well. If you're lazy, which I typically am, you can buy canned apples if you want, the canned slice apples. Or like I said, you could use a different kind of fruit. So these are 4 cut up, and I just cut them, peeled them, cored them, thin slices. We're gonna add all 4 apples in there. And mix this back up. Actually, what might be easier that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get it in my pan right now, because that is everything we need to add to this. So I'm gonna dump this in here, then I'm gonna mix it all around. So I'm just going ahead and mixing this around a bit. Like, my bowl was not big enough, and that's all right, this works just as good. Just wanna make sure I get the apples mixed into my batter evenly. And then I'm just gonna kind of spread it out evenly throughout the pan. All right, so I went through and just made sure my batter with my egg mixture was evenly spread in the pan. And then we're gonna go ahead and get this in the oven and bake it for about 35 to 45 minutes. Check it at the 35 mark to see how it's looking, depending on how well cooked you want it, or if you want it a little bit softer. So I'm gonna get this in the oven and we'll see when it's all done. All right guys, I cooked my apple pie protein dump cake in the oven for about 35 minutes. It's still like got a nice moisture to the inside of it. Up to you. It did start to get a little brown on top, so that's how I knew it was done, but it's up to you if you want to cook it a little bit longer. This is going to yield for you 12 slices. So I cut out 1 slice so you could see how big it is. Got lots of apples in it. The coconut flour makes it nice and moist. You get a pretty decent size. So macros for this are about 5 grams of fat, 16 carbs, and 9 protein, I believe it was, but we'll have that in the description below. So I hope you guys give this a try. Like I said, you can use any fruit, mix it up however you want. As always, get your protein needs at tigerfitness.com, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you don't already.